Ben Richards, 35, married, one child, in medical crisis.
We need money for a doctor now.
Ben, watch us up.
Employment status, blacklisted. But there's still a way out for you. It's the biggest show in the country.
It's great to be talking to you, Edgar. I had a great time watching The Running Man. I'm going to get the hardest question out of the way first, also because Glenn shared this video of Brisket in his Running Man outfit. What was it like having Brisket on the set?
Oh, such a diva. Such a diva. No, Brisket was great. Brisket appears in one shot on the train, in the same shot as Glenn, but not in the same. But it's a nice little cameo.
I was saying to Glenn and Josh, The Running Man, I feel like might have been the first Stephen King adaptation I saw as a kid on VHS with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm a huge Stephen King fan. I read at least one book of his every year. Why Running Man? I mean, I know you tweeted about it, I guess, 7 or 8 years ago. Why Running Man?
Well, I had actually read the book before I saw the 1987 film, and so even as a teenager, I knew that they were wildly different from each other. The 1987 film does have a lot in common with the book. They sort of like do their own thing. So I knew as a Stephen King fan that there was a whole other film to be made out of the source material. And so it was a gift to be able to adapt that and do something that was closer to the book.
How long did it take you to put that pen to paper and figure out your own sort of spin on it?
It actually only came to be about 4 years ago. I had always thought that it could be a great movie, a different version of the movie. But it wasn't until 4 years ago that actually it came to me because, it's complicated with the rights and everything, that Simon Kinberg, one of the producers, got in touch 4 years ago and said, hey, is it true you have an interest in The Running Man? We have the rights. And I was like, let's talk. I'd love to. So it was actually something. It's very rare to get an email about something you've actively thought about in the past.
That's crazy. Glenn mentioned you, Josh mentioned you, wanting to work with you. Talk to me a little bit about how this cast comes together, because your relationship with Josh goes back quite a long time.
Yeah, I had met him, I guess, nearly 20 years ago when No Country for Old Men was at Cannes. That's the first time I met Josh. And I've never had the opportunity to do anything with him because, it's all about finding the right part. So when this came up and there was the chance to actually do something together, it was a gift. And I think he's so amazing in the film. Glenn I had met a couple of years ago around the time when Top Gun Maverick was coming out. And I was a big fan of his from the films he did with Richard Linklater. So when his name came up in contention for the film, I was very excited because I thought he's exactly the right person at the right time to play this part. And I think his performance in the movie is exceptional.
Hunt him down!
I know Stephen King can be a bit prickly about his film adaptations. I know he endorsed it, he's given it his stamp of approval. But how does that work? Do you go to Mr. King first and say, oh, hey, we're thinking of this, and what do you think? Or do you finish it and then you take it to him? How does that whole thing work out?
No, it was actually like he does have kind of like sign off on the adaptation, so I had been in contact with him for years because he'd always been really generous about my films. But I didn't get in contact with him about this until I felt like it was likely to happen, because it would have been too heartbreaking to talk to him about the movie and then it fall apart and not happen. So quite late in the day, I emailed him and said, oh, as I'm sure you are aware, I've been working on The Running Man. Here's the screenplay. So me and Michael Bacall sent the screenplay and, had a very nerve-wracking weekend waiting for him to respond. But he loved it. And the really key thing is he loved what we'd kept the same, and he also loved the changes we'd made. So to have that encouragement before we started shooting was huge. And then, of course, the next thing is, cut to like a year later, he watches the finished thing, which he also loved. So I feel very, very happy that it gets a huge thumbs up from him.
And what about the big man? Arnold also gave his endorsement to it as well.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's not really a remake of the 1987 film. It probably has... Total Recall maybe has more influence on the movie than the 1987 Running Man. But we did have this nod to Arnold in the movie, for which we needed his photo approval. So I wrote him a really nice email, and he was very generous to sort of okay it. But then closer to starting shooting, me and Glen felt maybe we should speak to him, because Glen had been in a movie with him before, and he was good friends with his son Patrick. So we did speak to Arnold on FaceTime like a couple of days before we started shooting, and he gave us his blessing and wished us all the best. And he's now seen the movie and he loves it as well. So I feel very happy that both Stephen King and Arnold Schwarzenegger give it a thumbs up.
Stop filming me!
Have you ever wondered if this game is rigged? Guess we'll find out.
You've obviously done all sorts of different movies in your career, but this is Edgar Wright on his biggest canvas, doing his most action-packed movie. What was that like for you as a director to just kind of like let loose and do some really fun, crazy, wild things on screen?
I mean, it was amazing. I mean, it's always really complicated making a film like this, because it's you know, it's as arduous to make as hopefully it is entertaining to watch. There's so many moving parts, especially in action. So it's incredibly complicated making a film like this, but an amazing cast and crew, and the sort of joy of it is when it starts to come together in the edit. Once you start actually, you can start kind of working on it in the comfort of the edit suite rather than being out in the freezing cold, like shooting the action. But I'm really proud of the movie.
Freezing cold, shooting the action with Glen in a bath
In a towel. It was -10 when we shot the towel scene.
How do you keep that towel on?
I mean, as you've seen the movie, it also comes off. So that's a good question. I think you just got to tie it really tight, especially if you're abseiling whilst doing it.
I don't know the story, but we almost had you doing Ant-Man 10 years ago. What happened there? Why? And do you have any regrets, or do you ever think like maybe you'd want to go back and do something in the superhero genre?
No, I mean, the short version of that is that basically we had written a script which existed before like the MCU really kind of blew up in the way it did. So by the time it came to actually make it, it was a different company in the sense that they had like a house style and a continuity and a certain way of working. And so it didn't really fit with the script that we'd written. So I have no regrets walking away. And I don't know, I feel like there's been so many superhero films in the interim that it's not something that I necessarily have any desire to do right now. Not to say that I wouldn't in the future, but like I feel like there's been plenty.
Before I let you go, what reality show would Edgar Wright be best at?
That's a good. I think I'd be good on some kind of trivia like game show. I'd like to do that. I mean, does Who Wants to Be a Millionaire count? I wouldn't mind going on that. I think if it was a reality show, probably something kind of like relatively low stakes, like the Great British Bake Off. Although that in itself looks really stressful to do, but at least you're not going to die on it, unless something really bad has happened. Yeah, it's possible you could die on the Great British Bake Off, I guess, if you were allergic to something.
You're on Freebie.
You better run! I got a grenade!
Back at you.